Fun fact, every time we have a special guest, we sit down for like a 20 or 30-minute interview where we get their backstory and we get to share it with our patrons over at patreon.com/modernrogue.
I like to call it Brian and Jason talk to people who are more talented and intelligent than they are.
Or, as I call it, Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a little bit wordy. Tuesday works better. So welcome to this new episode of Tuesday. It's not what it's called, is it?
What I meant was like literally any day.
Oh, literally any day.
Yeah, like this, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Here's Bill. It's a water world, but it just goes on forever. Oh. And it says -1. And as a kid, I was just like, I found something forbidden.
Yeah.
It's like there's a mystery here. Yeah. It's like, do I get to like talk to the Whopper now, or what's happening?
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Do we have a name for what these are? Or we'll just call it a special interview. Howdy guys, Brian Brushwood, Jason Murphy here with Bill Doran of PunishedProps.com. We just finished, two days? Felt like 3 days of filming.
Yeah, 2 very long days of filming.
We're all a little sun-baked.
A little bit.
But man, it was extraordinary to immediately dive in with really complicated builds. The moment you showed up, first thing we did was start doing a live cast. What was that like, by the way?
It was relaxing. It wasn't nearly as suffocating or constricting as I was worried. I thought that I there was a possibility that I was gonna freak out. Yeah. But I thought, I'm probably not gonna do that. But I don't want to rule it out because this is going to be an entirely new experience.
Well, and this clearly wasn't your first live cast.
No, we've done quite a few.
Like hundreds, dozens?
No, dozens.
Okay.
There are half a dozen.
All right, tell us about a live cast that just went horribly awry.
Okay, the first one I did, it was alginate, which is cheaper than silicone.
Alginate, if I remember correctly, is what you use for dental cast. It's
Yes.
very, very cheap, very, very simple, and they also fall apart immediately, right?
Yes. And with silicone, you can brush on a layer, it'll cure, and you can brush on another layer, it'll stick together. You have plenty of time to work. It'll be nice and the Bob Ross of life casting. We're gonna put a happy little goober of silicone all over your face. With alginate, it's like 5 minutes. Once it sets up, you can't add more, it won't stick.
Oh.
So we had 4 people. We had my buddy Will set up. And we're like, mix, 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 mix. Go, 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 go. And we're just throwing goo on his face, blah, blah. And it was just a horror show.
It was just falling
off
and everything.
We got it kind of on him. We had to, the whole day was just wiped. We had to cancel it and go buy more stuff and do it again.
So do you do live cast for the purposes of replicating a face, or do you do it for making prosthetics? What's it more common?
For us, for the most part, we want to do prosthetics. I have a life cast of my head. Well, I have a life cast of my twin brother's head.
Smart move.
Yep.
Have a twin brother. Make him sit there.
That's good.
For me, I use it for making patterns for helmets or headgear for costumes.
Wow, because it's so precise. You want it to exactly
Yes.
fit and be molded.
Exactly, yeah.
So let's talk about the whole phenomenon of cosplay communities, because that's I always thought, 30 years ago when we went to...
It's real weird.
No, it was real weird.
It was, yeah.
But now it's so not. 30 years
Yeah.
ago when we would go to comic book conventions at the age of 11, there would always be one guy or girl dressed up and you were like, ooh, this one, am I right?
That guy's taking it way too seriously.
So what is it that changed?
I think there was a tipping point where people who are super enthusiastic fans about a thing, Star Trek, Star Wars, other star-related properties, where they would say
Star Crash.
Yeah,
The
Starcraft.
Hollywood Walk of Fame filled with stars.
Yes.
Stars and stripes.
They said, look, hey, I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. They're like, oh, me too. They're like, no, I'm a real big fan of Star Wars. I read all the books. They're like, oh yeah, I did too. You're like, yeah, I don't think you get it either. You know what? I'll show you. I'll get a lightsaber. They get the toy lightsaber. It's not quite. Like, this isn't good enough. I want a better lightsaber. I guess I have to make it. I guess I just have to make it. They make the lightsaber, and then they're like, well, I need Jedi robes. Can I get them? And 20, 30 years ago, you couldn't just buy Jedi robes.
How would you even find out about them if you could? You'd have to order one of those weirdo fan catalogs or something. And there'd be maybe one company behind it. But thanks to the internet, you have this DIY revolution.
Well, that's one of the things that I saw on eBay is that you can find pre-made cosplay costumes online for just about anything you're looking for. Now, they're not going to be fitted to you, and who knows what the quality is, but anything you're looking for.
And if you're looking for a low barrier to entry, that's it. And you can jump into it. And I think since I'm so deep in this, and a lot of what I encounter on the internet are people who are already way into it. They're really focused on quality. They tend to forget that the first time cosplayer puts on a Jedi robe and they go to Comic-Con and a kid runs over and goes, "Mommy, Mommy, it's Luke. It's Luke." And as a first time cosplayer, you're like, I am Luke. Like,
I'm Darth Sidious. The kid is stupid. Has he even watched the movie?
But you get to be a superstar for a day. People want to take their picture with you. And that's what happened with me. We had the Team Fortress team, blue team. We had 6 of us, my wife, our friends. I was a soldier. We all went to PAX. And we're like, this is so cool. We're a whole team. And then people are like, oh my God, it's the blue team. And all day, people are taking pictures of us. I'm like, no one's ever asked for my picture.
In other words, there's this decentralization, this democratization of the Santa Claus experience. Suddenly, everybody gets to have that experience of being Santa Claus.
And you'll have that. You'll have a lot of people who are excited to see a character. Then you'll have that one guy who is over the moon to see his favorite character.
Well, and that's become the new game, and that's what's so fun about watching stuff like Dragon Con, where people will go out of their way to specifically find an esoteric or bizarre or obscure character or a weird twist on it.
remix.
Yeah, exactly. It's not enough to be Wolverine. You got to be steampunk Wolverine with a glowing eye or something.
Or Wolverine from a very specific part of that one issue.
Like I've seen you cosplay Wolverine, but you're like, no. This time I'm Logan.
I'm Logan, and I had cut off claws so I could pose stabbing people in the head, just like he did in the movie. Spoiler: he kills a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Just like in the movie.
So,
but that created an experience for people. Because that gave them, I want a picture with Logan. Like, do you want a picture of Logan stabbing you through the head? I made a headband with 3 spikes coming out one side. And so it looked legitimately like there was, and 100 or so people got photos, selfies of me stabbing them through their head. It's an experience.
Well, as we've watched cosplay evolve, I feel like now if I were going to do it, you gotta come correct.
Oh yeah, well you don't have to. I mean, there's still entry level, and there are some shabby costumes you'll see, but you're excited that they're at least playing the game.
There is a lot of pressure from the internet when you post pictures on it that you did it wrong.
Wait, people on the internet will tell you you did something wrong?
Oh, next you'll say you're the wrong race for that character.
Right. Let's cruise past that.
When you went as Logan, they're like, you're not Canadian.
No, that is a thing, but I mean, everyone has their own opinion on it. My thing is like, obviously, no. I mean, maybe it's not obvious. I don't look like Hugh Jackman, not exactly.
You look close enough to me, man.
But I look like the Bill version of that character,
right?
Which is what I want. And that's what cosplay is.
I want to see that movie.
So even if Bill is not a Canadian man or a white man, but he wants to be Wolverine, he can still be him as Wolverine.
So one of the things that's been extraordinary to watch over the last 10 years, as you've grown in prominence with Punished Props, first with your original builds for yourself, then you did commissions, then you started writing books. Once you started writing books and now hosting tutorials, you are disseminating all this information in an easy to digest, approachable way that causes a lot of people to make their very first costume out of the gates to be light years ahead of everybody else's.
We were just at Emerald City. We were just at Emerald City Comic Con. I forgot the name of my home convention. In Seattle. And dozens of people came up to me and said, this is the first costume I've ever made.
And it looked amazing?
And it looked incredible. And they're like, I've just followed your videos. And I was like, I hate you. Let me show you my spray-painted Jim Raynor wig and the terrible costume I made when I got started.
Also deleting all tutorials.
But
it's
you're right, though.
I'm the best.
If that's my legacy, that we've created a springboard where people can get ramped into this this hobby, making their own costumes at 100 miles per hour right away, then I'm pretty proud of that.
Well, and I'm sure there are other people that you consider yourself to be kind of a come into public eye altogether, like a freshman class of cosplay tutorial people. Do you guys talk to each other ever about what your role is in literally changing the landscape of cosplay and gameplay?
We do have a crew like that. We hang out at Dragon Con every year. And I don't know, mostly when we get a chance to hang out, we really just talk about like glue and stuff.
So let's dial it back even farther.
Try this one. This one's really good.
I smell the fiberglass. It's good.
I got this one in Beijing.
Although I will say, I think most of us are kind of caught up in keeping our businesses running and what's next for us. Because even though we all kind of do the same thing, everyone's taken a very different role, like you said, different role in the community. But they live in Atlanta, they live in Germany, they live in Seattle. Everyone's all around the place, so we're all kind of creating our own little bubbles.
Well, and I'm glad to hear that you guys talk business, because I want to take it back before it was a business. Back when you had a day job, what did you do before you became the intergalactic arms dealer? Which I love that tagline, by the way.
Yeah. Funny enough, I published video, which is kind of a lot of what I do now.
Sure.
But it wasn't my video. I published video for Xbox on their thing.
And so, were you doing this on the side? When does the decision happen for you to leave your day job and become a curious character of the internet?
And how scary was that?
1 week after guest hosting on Game On with Brian Brushwood and Veronica
for
Belmont.
For reals?
Yeah.
That was the moment?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Real-life video game prop maker Bill Doran shows us weapons from games like Skyrim, Dragon Age, and Mass Effect that he's brought into the realm of men.
So the short story, I did prop and costume making on the side, did some side commissions while I had my day job. That was my entire life. Go to work, come home, build until I go to sleep, wake up for 2 years. I just did that. And then it dawned on me, I was like, boy, if I didn't have that 8 hours a day, I got to go to work, I could do this twice as much. And I had 2 weeks paid off, and I had two things planned. I was going to go to PAX East, and I had a panel on prop making, and I had a guest host spot on a very short-lived but wonderful show with
Game On.
Brian.
So that would have been 5.5 years ago.
Almost
exactly
exactly 6 years
almost exactly
ago.
6 years right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Veronica Belmont and I hosted, 12 episodes, 18 episodes of a video game show called Game On. And I remember, who booked you for that? Who reached out to you? Did you reach out to Twit?
I can't remember.
Okay, but you got booked, and
Yeah.
it was so exciting because I was so in awe of the quality. Like, you could see the genuine joy and amazement when
Yeah.
you're like, I made you this Mass Effect, this Mass Effect gun. Hold on, I still have it. I gotta write it over here. When you presented me with, it's around here because I care about it so much. There it is. Like, I was already amazed and thrilled to get this. But my heart melted when I saw that you were enough of a fan to put the BB logo on there. I kept this by my desk for the next 2 years and would periodically take it out and wave it at stuff.
Now, whenever you look at this, do you cringe?
Oh, it's terrible.
What, are you kidding me? This is amazing. But likewise, what was exciting for me is I could tell for your enthusiasm that it was a big deal to be on camera, and it was a big deal to tell the story of what you do.
And what's funny is, it may have been Veronica, I think, because I think she reached out to say, Rogan.
It had a good run.
You wanted background props.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I'll tell you what, if you guys pay for my flight, I'll give you the props, but I want to be on the show. And they were like, yes, okay. And I made, which by the way, you guys got a great deal. Because I made 3 things. But it was amazing. So I took 2 weeks paid off, and I said, I'm going to be a prop maker for 2 weeks. I got 2 events booked, 1 each weekend. And if after that 2 weeks of being a prop maker, I'm still into it, then I'll quit my job.
Now, were any of these
good.
were any of these paying gigs?
Oh, no.
So what was your plan? What was your plan to make
You just
money?
wanted to test
no,
and see
no.
if you liked doing it.
Just like doing it all day, every day.
Got it.
Just to see if I could put up with it.
Well, that's
Yeah.
one of the things that people have to be careful about whenever they're thinking about taking their hobby to the next
Yeah.
level, because then suddenly it becomes your job,
Yes.
and you may end up resenting it.
Also, I had 6 months of commissions booked already.
Okay, so
I had a
you
lot
knew
of
you
work
would
lined
keep
up.
the
Yeah.
lights on no
Yeah,
matter what.
yeah. And I believe I said that in Game On.
Yeah.
Even back then, I was like, hey, you could call me, but I'm pretty busy.
I'm building things from scratch. I've got a commission list 3 months deep. So if you're waiting for one of my commissions, I'm working
So
on
if
it.
you're-
I
if you're-
swear.
So yeah, I finished like a couple days after Game On, went back home and turned in my 2 weeks.
Jason brings up a really good point. Is there any kind of hygiene that you've instituted to make sure that you continue to love what you do? Are there things that you realize, oh, this is getting dangerously close to feeling like work?
when I quit, I made a rule for myself. If I find myself doing work every day that I don't enjoy, just go back to my old job, because I got a paycheck every week, and I also didn't enjoy doing that.
What is the closest you've experienced to getting to that point? Or has there ever
Never
been?
even close.
Oh, that's great.
Not
Today.
even close.
There was this one shoot, we were baking in the sun.
yeah.
The face was melting.
It's a weird, because when I got started, like I made so many expensive mistakes. I didn't make any money.
yeah.
For a year or two, I made negative money.
Like you're making a build for someone and it goes awry and you
Yeah.
have to start
And
over.
it costs money.
But you don't get to charge them for all the lost
No,
supplies.
you don't. Or I flew to San Francisco to deliver 3 costumes because I thought it would be cheaper than shipping them. And once I got to the airport and I was paying extra baggage fees for all of them, I was standing there at the airport just, I still had to follow through. I still had to go there and deliver them. But as she's ringing me up for, an extra one's 75, an extra one's 150, an extra, I was like, I'm not going to make any money.
You suddenly
This is
become
costing me
Will
money.
Arnett. I've made a huge mistake.
And I still had to go there. So I flew to San Francisco and crashed on a client's couch when I delivered their costume. Now here's the great thing though. This whole thing cost me money, but the clients were overjoyed. I was in person. I did a fitting.
I mean, think about you
Yeah.
gave a white glove premiere experience to these people.
The two of them, they each had their own costume, and they went to Comic-Con and they met Seth Green, who does a voice for a character in Mass Effect, and they had their Mass Effect armor. They sent me a picture. They were over the moon.
And I think that's the real key. Just like a magician doesn't sell his sleight of hand, what he sells is that moment of wonder. An actor
Yeah.
doesn't sell his ability to recite lines. He sells crying at the end of a film.
Mm-hmm.
You are not selling this piece of armor. You are selling superstardom in a very specific situation.
So is there like a holy grail of cosplay that you've always wanted to do? Something really elaborate and amazing, but you're not real sure if you can pull it off?
Costume, like, I have bigger plans than that. All right, let's just go full into it. I want to make Corbin Dallas's apartment from The Fifth Element. The
Wow! That would be amazing.
On a trailer so I can take it places and live in it if I want to, because it's a full apartment. Yeah. I could dress up as him, I guess.
So tell me this.
That's crazy.
What you guys get to do is take stuff you love from existing Hollywood or comic book or television properties and make them real. Is that joy all you want? Or if Hollywood came calling and said, we would like you to design from scratch a new set of armors, we're doing this new Hollywood movie, we want you to design them and build them and run the shop, would you jump down and do that?
It's Valerian, city of 1,001 planets. Go.
No. No.
So what is the difference between the two? One just sounds like more fun?
I like being the captain of my own ship. I get a lot of value out of that. I like getting to pick what I'm making. Basically, it's funny because we don't do commission stuff anymore. We're kind of hobbyists again, just high-end hobbyists who make tutorials to show people how we do it. And for me, that keeps cosplay as a fun thing I do. I still enjoy going to Dragon Con. I don't dread going to Dragon Con. I don't dread having to work on the next costume. Or when you say, I made one costume, and they're like, great, but we need a dozen. I was like, well, the first one was
like
super
work.
fun, but
Yeah.
11 more sounds like terrible.
So can you picture a world where you have a staff of 20 people and you just make the first one and you're like, make these people happy?
Sure. Although right now I'd really like to have a staff that edits video for me and proofreads my books.
Baby steps.
And ships out books.
So cosplay is something very multidisciplinary. You've got
yeah.
all of the crafting as far as making armor and what have you, and little bits and bobs, or gleek glops, as Brian would call them, hoses and things or what have you.
Greebles and nernies.
Greebles and nernies. But then you've got the sewing and
Yeah.
the fitting and so forth, and then makeup and sometimes prosthetics and things like
Life
that.
casting.
What's your favorite part and what's your least favorite part?
Boy, so my background, traditionally, I've trained as a 3D modeler. And 3D printing is getting wicked cool now. And I love engineering and problem solving and making stuff fit, making stuff move, incorporating real hardware. I can do that all day, every single day. It's so much fun. But any part of it where I'm problem solving, I don't want to just get a pattern and cut it out and glue it together. I love patterning a helmet off of a head, or I have a cast of my torso, I'll pattern armor off of it. Because then I've got something from a video game that never existed in the real world, and I have to translate that into a real thing that I wear using material that's two-dimensional, flat. And that problem solving, that challenge, that's what I enjoy the most.
So-
Also 3D printing.
So you mentioned that you started off in 3D and then got away from it, but now you're back as the technology has evolved.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself getting more into 3D as the technology
Yes.
only gets better and better?
Yes, I do.
do
Especially
you
if
like it
any
that
3D
way?
printing companies wants to send me an SLA printer. That would be great. Okay.
Well, that seems to be. Do you think that's where cosplay is going right now? Is more things crafted with 3D printing?
Yeah. Although what I love is seeing 3D printing done in a clever way, incorporated with all the other disciplines. So you may have a sewn element with a really good additional part that's 3D printed. Or I may need a dozen of something, so I'll 3D print a mold and then cast resin copies or rubber copies out of it and get those dozen things. But the mold was done in 3D and printed. It's just the best solution for that problem. And that's what we're seeing now. Some people originally like 3D printing is great, make everything 3D printed. And now people are like, well, molding and casting is still super efficient. So how can we tie those things together? And that's what's happening now.
Is it possible that we're headed for a world where you would just 3D print a mold and then just cast all you want? Does it already exist?
A buddy of mine did that with an RC car tire. He was doing a custom tire, 3D printed the mold, clamped it together, and then poured liquid rubber in it, and it cured, and he popped it open, and he had a perfect RC car tire.
brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what would you say is the best cosplay you have ever seen? If you had to pick one.
My wife's
Smart answer. Smart answer.
Good.
Sweepy
Show
the robot
me
was
Bill's
very
wife.
awesome. It's really hard to pick because a lot of costumes are impressive for a lot of different reasons. If it's really big but still mobile, that's
Like
impressive.
some of those Hulk busters you've seen.
Yeah,
those
I
are
saw.
incredible.
Side note: I saw a Hulkbuster do a faceplant on stage once.
Oh, that's great.
He was okay, and he got up and he finished his skit, which was great. But in the moment, I was judging.
Oh, no.
And I was like, keep it together, Bill.
Well, especially because you can rate. You can rate? You're the judge. You can rate it.
Yeah.
Because you can.
That was a terrible dive.
Oh.
You can relate.
Yeah.
You know, you've been there and you've been afraid of being that guy.
Yeah, I will tell you a couple of recent ones that I saw that were amazing at Emerald City Comic Con. My buddy Thomas did the rock dude from Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, wow.
And it was
Piss off.
right, yeah, he was right on, and he had pamphlets he was handing out.
About
Join
the revolution.
Yeah. Also from Thor Ragnarok, another buddy of mine, Beverly did Hela, and she had it right in the headdress was this friggin' big, and she was like totally like doing the part.
How far do you think we are from people just rocking the cosplay out in public, outside? Because you already have seen that bleeding out at events like Dragon Con and Comic Con. You know, you're not always in the convention, and it's no longer weird to see people walking around looking
Certainly
like badass superheroes.
Probably not in Austin, or definitely not in Seattle.
Sure.
I think that the people who are way into steampunk kind of led the charge on that.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, that's a cool steampunk outfit, and they're like, this is how I dress.
Well, and we're seeing some of that now. When I was at Epcot, Postmodern Jukebox happened to be playing, a fantastic band that does retro covers. And I didn't know they were playing. I was just confused by the fashion trend of everybody dressing like it was the 1920s.
Yeah.
I'm like, everybody's dapper. And then I was like, oh, duh, they're. And I wanted to think they're playing dress up for the concert, but then I thought, something tells me they may dress like this all the time. Which
Yeah.
again takes me back to the Diamond Age, where there would be communities that are playing as Victorians at all
Oh, right.
times, or as modernists.
And you
or
can
postmodernists.
completely immerse yourself in that lifestyle without ever experiencing the real world.
I feel
Yeah.
like that might be where we're literally headed.
I think we would see it more with cosplay if costumes weren't just so damn uncomfortable to wear all day.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, you won't be seeing me walk around at Starbucks dressed as Lord Shax, sweating my face
Although
off.
I got to admit, you know, all the Star Trek onesies, I mean, that might be pretty comfy. Just,
I mean, that is how everyone's going to dress in the 24th century.
I believe you. So what kind of predictions can you offer about what trends you're seeing in the cosplay community?
I'm excited to see a lot more people challenge themselves with incorporating 3D printing into their work, challenging themselves with creating custom-made three-dimensional stuff. Doing your own 3D modeling really kind of unlocks the potential of what those machines can do. So that's what I'm excited to see more of. Certainly we've been pushing more and more to help people along that path, start learning that. man, it's hard to say because just costumes they're really good now. They're really wicked good now.
I'll take it from here,
Yeah.
Bill. By 2021, all cosplay costumes will be Blizzard characters.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll all be Overwatch. And if I have my way, it will be legal if someone's wearing a Genji costume to shoot
Shiv them.
or stab them. Yeah, it's legal.
Hey, so as a fellow YouTuber and somebody who's, although I don't even know that term makes much sense nowadays in a world where.
Oh, you're a YouTuber now.
Well, I mean, that used to be something you look down on, and now it's something people look up to.
It was a potato joke.
Oh, YouTuber. Got it. Okay, got it.
Sorry.
But my point is, as an online creator, talk to me about the experience of how it's been from being somebody who made an appearance on an online network, and then suddenly you're running your own channel with, what are you up to, 250,000 subscribers now?
We hit 250,000 recently. We have over 600 videos, which when I think about editing all those, just makes me cry inside.
Yeah. I just want one editor, please.
It's weird because it's been about 5 years for us, and from my point of view, it's been a slow burn. Super, super slow burn. Just keep working at it. Keep making stuff. Keep making things that people want to see made, and or cover the topics and tutorials and materials that people want to know more information about. The 3D printing is a really good example because when we started doing 3D printing, there was a lot of pushback. Oh, that's cheating. So you're cheating with 3D printing. And I was like, we're going to keep doing it. Just you wait.
Why
And
not
now,
use all of the resources that you can get access to?
It's interesting because you see the same thing in Magic. You see somebody doing a trick that looks like you're doing a pass or palming a card, and then they find out that it's two cards stuck together, and they're like, well, that's cheating. It's like, no, you're an asshole. That's what it is.
It's got to be some knuckle-busting technique that you slaved over. It's like, or I told the machine to print it, and I went to sleep.
Yeah.
Came down in the morning, it was all done.
So
that's what we've seen it shift, though. Now it's just totally normal. If you're 3D printing parts of your costume, yeah, cool, whatever, no big deal. But that's been just a shift over a couple of years.
Just like when talkies come along and everyone thinks, this is the devil, you're ruining this noble tradition.
But for our content, I mean, we are genuine to who we are. I got into 3D printing because I love 3D modeling. And it's a great, helpful tool. And we made content like that years ago, and now people are like, wow, it sure is great to have some basic tutorials that you made 3 years ago in 3D modeling.
And that's the thing about evergreen content is that it all creates this gigantic library. So you started on YouTube first. Nowadays, you're pushing to Twitch as well?
We do Twitch stuff. YouTube is still our main jam for getting content out to the people, but we love live streaming from our shop. And we do a Q&A every week with other titans of the industry, I guess. My buddy Harrison from Bullpen Props he's the guy that made the tire and a bunch of other amazing stuff. We had him on a couple weeks ago. That's my way to get to do this, to actually talk with the people who I consider my colleagues on a regular basis, even though they live far away. So we do a Q&A. It's really fun.
And do you play in the Facebook ecosystem at all?
Yeah,
or?
we got a Facebook page. We have the Twitter and all of that.
And you had mentioned you've written some books.
I do have 2 books out now. They started as as an ebook trilogy, and then we had a big print book. We got another print book out, all in the Foamsmith series, a word I think I invented. I don't know.
You trademark that, man.
Yeah.
Put a little TM.
Also, quick note, foamsmith.com. I bought about 3 months ago. Should have got that sooner, but it's mine now, so I don't care who I tell. And those are basic tutorial books on getting into making armor and props from EVA foam.
Well, do you ever feel the need to cycle through your older videos and correct them or
delete them,
take them down? well, I mean, not just because you've gotten better, but because the techniques have changed and you're putting out some information that's no longer valid.
No, it all still applies.
I mean, we're fine with putting out bullshit that you know, it's like, that's not true at all. But.
No.
Years from now, we're like, yeah, we're still really, really dumb. We were dumb then too.
It's like, we just keep plugging shit into lemons and nothing happens.
Not really, because that stuff still applies. It's more like as I experiment with more.
Yeah, you like that? Just give you a little kiss. Yeah.
As I grow as a maker, as I get better at different techniques and try different tools and materials, my content will. And that back catalog is more basic stuff.
Okay.
So people can always go back. It is more evergreen. So I'm not going to, except for the ones, there's some real bad ones I should probably delete. That's fine.
When you did the whole Zardoz cosplay. Dark period. Dark period for punished props.
But I probably will never ever take them down. I don't see why. Yeah.
So where do you see yourself 5, 10 years? Best case scenario. Worst case scenario is back on the modern road.
Yeah.
It's like,
We hire you to sit in the back and smoke. Like, let's ask Bill. He's like, I don't know, guys.
Dressed as the old man Logan.
where are
Yeah.
the potatoes? Ate them.
Yeah.
You know,
Where's the where's the ballistic gel? Brian ate it.
I want you to
did he?
cosplay as really old man Logan with a pot belly and a cane.
Yeah. 5 years from now, hopefully not in my basement anymore, which is where my wife and I do all of our work. It's just not safe. So out
Bill's
of the
basement is not safe.
No.
It's haunted.
Yeah. Spike pit. The spike pit was really, in hindsight, a bad idea.
Before I learned that foam could be used for the spear tips.
Hopefully out of the basement and growing our team, more people, so that I can really focus on building and filming, pass a lot more off to editors and bring in other talent as well, which is like having your channel and then having another expert on to do videos is like a wicked good idea. So, I mean, if you guys do, you should do that. I'm going to do that too.
Wait,
Thanks for the tip.
well, for a second I thought you were saying we should go on to punished props and show you some tips, and I'm like, hey, let's.
Can you imagine us talking like experts? Like, I like to just rub. I just love to wrap duct tape around it. That works really well.
If you
with
use
with
the
a spear tip, I
cheapest-
use duct tape.
If you use the cheapest tape, I find that
Oh my God, I felt so bad.
only whatever you get at a gas station.
I felt so bad.
The gas station cosplay challenge.
I like gas.
Modern Rogue is over. gas station
Cosplay.
cosplay.
Hold on, that would
Yeah.
actually be wonderful.
That
Or
would
99-cent store cosplay
Yeah, yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
Or
I'll
in
tell you
England,
what.
you know what the store's called in England? Poundland.
Boy, have I been there a few times. I don't even know what that
I
means.
think I saw that once. That would be a fun event to do at a convention. Is
People will do that, like found object prop making at a convention. They'll have a
Come
panel.
to Bill's Poundland, room 414. BYOB.
okay? So, what advice do you have for people just getting started? People who just maybe they've seen these episodes and they're
Yeah.
like, I want to build something. Where do they begin?
If you want to get into proper costume making, pick something that is ambitious but realistic. Maybe not Hulkbuster costume right out of the gate. Maybe Tony Stark in a suit with a glowing chest thing, right?
There
if
you
you
go.
really like Iron Man, start there. And then build an arm and add that to the suit. And then over time, you have a full Iron Man suit. Ambitious but realistic. But whatever that thing is, make sure it's something that you're into because you're learning new techniques. You're going to fumble along the way. You're going to want to quit. And if it's something you don't care about, it's something from Fortnite, damn it.
Okay, he's
You
acting
stumble.
like he hates Fortnite. He spent the entire time playing on his side like, it's a nice gun. Oh, I like what they did with these angular designs.
It's a
This is a
very
cool world they
It's a
built.
very cool looking game.
You should
But-
cosplay some Fortnite and just build shit in the middle of the floor.
A wall. Walk around with a wall that is obtrusively big.
Yes.
Yeah, just you're constantly coming through. Excuse me,
Yeah.
Fortnite. I'm playing Fortnite.
And it's got multiple levels, so maybe your wife can be up there somewhere.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, pick something you love. Otherwise, when it gets hard, you're gonna quit. That cosplay is driven by obsession and enthusiasm, and if you're not obsessive or enthusiastic about the thing you're making, you won't finish it.
Dude, Bill Doran, thank you so much for making the trip out
Hey,
here. Congratulations
happy to be
on
here.
all the success
Thank
at
you so much.
punishprops.com. Everybody buy this man's book.
We have a parting gift for you.
You know, I finally realized what we're going to do with this. You know what? It's fractured, but I'm going to melt the gelatin and see if the skull will survive into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, the skull will survive, yeah. Do you want to get a blowtorch and go all Raiders of the Lost Ark on it?
Will that
It'll melt off.
really?
Yeah.
I think it dries because it's water-based.
Do we have any towels or anything?
Like put the Pruno bucket under it.
Okay.
And melt his face
This is a special event.
off. But do you want to reset cameras that we
No,
do?
this is an interview.
Can I do it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
Yeah,
ready?
I think it's just gonna crust back.
Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Oh, you're right. Whoa! Whoa! This is amazing. This is horrible. That's my face. Your face. Yeah, do not touch any of that. It will burn you.
Oh, yeah.
That is molten wax that will stick to your body. Wait, where's my camera? Hand me my camera. It's right there. Here, I gotta get this. All right, you keep it going.
French fries.
Oh, that's amazing.
Man, that eye socket looks grotesque.
Oh, that looks
Good
so
interview.
cool.
Good interview.
I cannot think of a better way to cap off this weekend.
That was great. That was great, sir.